Hi, this is Kimberly Mays from Foolishly Creative. I help coaches, authors, speakers, thought leaders, and professional speakers elevate their online presence through web design, branding, and digital marketing. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about webinars, live streams, the system to do that, and more. So the first thing I want to talk about is which one should you choose? So when you're choosing to go on video, and you want to broadcast to an audience, you may be wondering if you should do a live stream versus a webinar. And they are very interchangeable, but they have fundamental differences. So live streaming is what I'm doing right now, going on Facebook Live, and I have a camera, I have some equipment, and I have some software, but you don't need that. All you do need is a camera, a microphone, and of course, Facebook. And you can go live at any time. You can go live from your phone, go live from your computer. Excuse me. Excuse me. And the benefit of going live is that it's spontaneous, it's easier, it's a lower barrier of entry, and you do get to reach more people through your live stream. If they are liking your page, or if you're doing it on your personal profile, or if you're doing it in a group, there's more likely a chance that they'll see your content because the application will pop up saying that you are live. So if you're looking to reach more people, you may want to do a live stream. So that is the benefit of a live stream, is that it is spontaneous, it is easy, and it can reach more people. Now, the cons of a live stream are this, that when you do a live stream, it's great, but you may want to do a webinar if you need to collect email addresses. So webinars are more sophisticated. You have more bells and whistles. You know who is watching. You know how long they've watched, and there's a potential to re-engage those people in your webinar funnel after they've watched your webinar. With a live stream, it's not really that easy. You're kind of beholden to the platform, although you can make either your live stream or your webinar evergreen. And we'll talk about what an evergreen webinar and evergreen live stream means. Evergreen just means that it can be played over and over again, can be consumed over and over again, and it's not time bound. So if you want to make evergreen content, live streaming or webinar would be the way to do it. You would just need to record your webinars so that they can be rebroadcast. The pros and cons of a webinar are that the cons, let's start with the cons. Webinars can be challenging to set up. Webinars require software that can cost a little bit of money. So if you're on a budget, maybe you may want to do something like a Zoom meeting, but a webinar and a meeting are really not the same thing. But if you want to do a true webinar where you have reminders, where you have, you have the webinar tell you who signed up, you have the webinar tell you who visited your page, how long they stayed, you're definitely going to pay for that. If you do choose to do a meeting such as Zoom, not Zoom the webinar, but Zoom meeting, what you'll get is kind of a face-to-face forum or meeting where everybody has more or less the same level of power. So if you're looking to do it to a large audience, you're going to want to use a dedicated webinar software versus a meeting. But if you're doing a small intimate group or training, Zoom meetings is definitely the way to go. So the pros of a webinar are this, is that if you are introducing a high ticket item, such as a new course, a new program, maybe a retreat, or something to that effect where you have to walk people through something. You have to walk them through the offer. You have to deliver valuable information and make an offer at the end. A webinar is definitely the most appropriate place to do that. If they have to give you their email address, sign in, watch, they are already at a higher level of engagement than versus a live stream. So you definitely want to check out a webinar if you are launching one of those items that I spoke about, like a retreat or brand new program, because you'll have their email address. You can always follow up. You can always see what they thought of the content, and you can always ask them why they didn't take you up on your offer. Now, I wanted just to talk quickly about the types of webinars. So I spoke quickly about evergreen webinars. So evergreen webinars are webinars that can be watched at any time. So they've already been pre-recorded. They've been hopefully edited, and you can actually set that up so anybody can watch it at any time. So for example, have you ever watched a webinar, ever signed up for a webinar that's starting in 15 minutes? That's not a coincidence. That's a pre-recorded evergreen webinar. And those scheduled times are set up so that it's 15 minutes from the time that you visited the page, so that you're more likely to watch the webinar, more likely to attend and show up. The other two kinds of webinars are obviously the live webinar. And live webinars are great if you have a higher level of engagement, if you want to talk to people while the webinar is going on. If you want to ask questions or have them ask questions and answer questions, that's great. You don't get to do that in an evergreen webinar, obviously, because it's recorded. So you do miss out on that live benefit, but the benefit of an evergreen webinar is that it can be shown at any time. If you do it live, you have to make a concerted effort to get more people in to your webinar when you do go live. So the third type of webinar I want to talk about is a hybrid webinar. So a hybrid webinar is a cross between your evergreen webinar and your live webinar. So if you are kind of camera shy, if you are a perfectionist, if you are just really scared that you'll make a mistake or start coughing like I just did at the beginning of this live stream, you're definitely going to want to check out a hybrid webinar, and you'll need special software to do this. So a hybrid webinar just means that you record the webinar content in advance. You may just go through your slide deck, record it, make sure it's perfect, make sure it's lovely. And then at the beginning of the webinar, you play that video. You play that video, and then you tell them to hold questions into the end. And then you can either go on camera at the end of the video, or you can answer questions in the chat box on the side of the video as your video is playing. So that makes it more engaging than an evergreen webinar, but you're not always on a spot like a live webinar. But you do need to be present for that. So you do need to make the same efforts to bring people into your webinar as your live webinar. So here's what I recommend. If you are just disseminating information, if you just want to provide valuable content on the fly, I suggest doing live streams. Live streams are great because it's easy. It's easy to just press play, and a lot of people are extroverted. A lot of people love to talk more than write. So live streaming may be your jam. If you want to introduce a high ticket item like your retreat, like your membership, anything that costs a little bit of money, anything that you have to kind of walk people through to see the value, you want to use a webinar. And you would want to use a webinar software like Webinar Jam, EverWebinar. There's GoToWebinar. There's so many webinars software out there. There's even Zoom Webinar. And those will cost you more money, but they have the bells and whistles so that you can actually create funnels with them. If you are on a budget, you could just use Zoom meetings. That's just fine. But keep in mind that you'll constantly have to have people mute their lines. Some people may go on camera. Some people may not. It's not a true webinar, but it can function as one. So I hope this helped. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you are watching the replay, I would love to know if you found this information valuable and if you have any questions for me. I do want to leave you with a free gift. So here is the free gift for you. I have a free gift on my website at Foolishly Creative. It is a Shine Online workbook. So this workbook helps you identify your ideal client, helps you identify what you offer, what it is that you do. It helps you identify your promise, and it helps you find the wording to get that across. So if you're doing any new web pages, sales pages, lead pages, or even Facebook ads, it's really valuable to know what it is that you are selling and who you're selling it to, so you can be more successful in whatever it is that you do. So I hope you found this great. Once again, I'm Kimberly Mays, founder of Foolishly Creative, and we help coaches, authors, thought leaders, and professional speakers elevate their online presence so they can attract their ideal clients. It was a pleasure, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.